Hello and welcome to episode 39 of Ninqueso, in quotation marks, almost live. I am El Gran Queso and I am joined by absolutely nobody again this week. I am by myself. I have texted Miss Bree, but she is a bit busy and she cannot make it this week. Hopefully we'll be back together again soon and you won't just have to listen to my voice talking about things that I know really nothing about. But that's okay, I'm by myself, but we can progress. So, let's get going. So making its return this week, which we did not have last week, is the quick news. You know, the kind of news that we don't really want to talk about, but we feel we should mention. First up, literally seconds before I started recording this was announced. The Animal Crossing New Horizons Direct will air on the 15th of October at 3 PM in the UK. I'm quite looking forward to that one. From there, we've also got Monster Hunter Rise has now shipped over 7.5 million units. But I'm not one of the people that have bought one. And also, Capcom confirms Monster Hunter Rise will have collabs with Ghosts and Goblins and Sonic. I don't know how that will work, but you know, Sonic in Monster Hunter Rise is always good. Universal Studios Japan has announced a partnership with the Pokemon Company, and the first project is scheduled for 2022. That could be interesting. Keep listening to this podcast, you might hear some news about it. Metroid Dread has leaked online ahead of its launch this Friday, which is unsurprising as all Nintendo games seem to be leaking online before their release date. Steve and Alex will both receive Smash Bros. Amiibo figures in spring 2022. And finally, Apple made more profit from games in 2019 than Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft combined. That's crazy. And that was the quick news. So one of the biggest news stories this week, and I think most people are looking forward to this, was the final announcement of the character who was going to be included into Smash. And we had a whole presentation on this. They announced some more Mii costumes. We only got 3 new Mii costumes this time. We got an Octoling and Judd from Splatoon. Now, I have played Splatoon, but I don't really know who those characters are, so that didn't mean much to me. But the next one I did like, and I might fork out the 75p or however much it is to buy these costumes, even though I don't play Smash. Doom Guy or Doomslayer was also announced as an amiibo costume for Smash. So Doom Guy finally makes it into Smash Brothers Ultimate. Not as a playable character, but you know, there was only one more space left. And that brings us neatly into the final character. Now, I'm sure you know who this is. It's all over the internet. And I don't think I'm spoiling anything for you by saying it was Kingdom Hearts Sora, which means nothing to me. I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game. I've got no interest in playing Kingdom Hearts games. And yeah, I've heard this for like ages now, everyone being like, oh, we want Sora in Smash, we want Sora in Smash. And you know what? I'm happy for everyone that wanted Sora in there and they got their wish. I've fallen out of Smash. I haven't played it for a long time, really. So I was very indifferent to whoever this was going to be. And the fact that it was Sora, personally, and like, you know, coming from like my own experience, it was totally like, meh. I didn't watch the direct live. Well, I was about half hour late getting to it, so I hadn't had it spoiled for me. So I started to rewatch it, and as soon as it was announced it was Sora, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'll carry on my day now. I didn't even watch the rest of the direct to sort of find out how the character goes. But I'm sure everyone out there who wanted Sora, I'm really happy for you, and I'm pleased you got your wish. Personally, I honestly did not think that Sora would be in there. I honestly thought like the last character would not be able to live up to any hype, so they'd probably just do some first party thing. So it was nice to see that they've actually managed to get Sora in there, which again must have been a lot of work, because Sora is obviously owned by Disney and Square Enix, so not so hard to get the Square Enix character in there, but obviously Disney characters going to be harder. And I know, like, apparently they've omitted, is it Donald Duck and Goofy, please correct me if I'm wrong, from one of the songs or in the background of a stage, I believe, so that they're not actually in there, because obviously Nintendo didn't want to have to pay for that sort of money for getting the characters. But we did have in the trailer the little Mickey Mouse logo, which was, it was, as soon as I saw that, it was like, oh, okay, here we go, it's Sora. But yeah, I had no idea who it was going to be from the trailer. But yeah, me personally, very indifferent. To everyone else out there who's happy, I'm so pleased for you. I'm glad you got your wish. But that's not the only Kingdom Hearts news that we have this week. Following on, I don't think it wasn't announced there, but soon after the Direct, we got an announcement that, what is it? Kingdom Hearts HD 1.5 plus 2.5 remix, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8, the final chapter prologue, and Kingdom Hearts 3 are all heading to the Nintendo Switch. And they are all cloud versions, which, I know, it's, I think I've spoken about this before in regards to the Switch, but I'm not a fan of it being the cloud version. I would rather it just not be there at all. Now, I know some people probably don't have a problem playing the cloud version and it runs well enough for them to enjoy the game. But there's other places you can play these, and given the choice, I would always go to another platform if I wanted to play it rather than the cloud. I mean, I have fairly good internet. I think I get sort of normal average download speeds of about 100 megabytes, which I know is not like amazing, but it should be good enough to play games, because Xbox cloud games work fairly okay on my phone, but on the Switch they just never work well. I will try, I think, when I get the OLED with the OLED model on Friday with the dock with the Ethernet port, I think I will try plugging it in and seeing if that makes the cloud game run better. But personally, I really don't like the idea of paying money to own a cloud game, because they could just disappear at any moment. Literally, they could just be like Thanos out of existence. Snap and gone. But I guess if it's the only way, if you don't have any other way of playing them and you got good internet and your Switch is fairly reliable, then I guess, but I'd rather you didn't buy them personally, because I don't want you to encourage companies just to put things on cloud. Now, I can kind of understand Kingdom Hearts 3 because it is like a newer game. And like, not that I've ever played any of them, but I know Kingdom Hearts 3 was newer. So it might not run on the Switch hardware that well. But obviously, like, the other two games are quite a bit older. So I don't see why they wouldn't have worked on the Switch. It's just, I think it's just lazy. I think it's just more, rather than putting money into, like, port the games over, it was just like a quick, oh well, Sora's coming, let's just bundle these together and dump them out as a cloud version. Now, hopefully, these games will be nice and cheap, but I still feel they're going to charge quite a bit for them all. Yeah, so if you're okay with cloud games, Kingdom Hearts is coming to the Switch. For everyone else, just play it on the PlayStation or Xbox or PC. That is all I'm going to say on that matter. Cloud games, please stop. We don't want them. I want physical copies or digital downloads. I don't want to play over the internet. My Switch is meant to be portable. How can I play the game when I'm out on a train? Not that I go on trains very often, but you get the point. You get the point. We interrupt this podcast to bring you a quick word from our sponsor, Acorns. Thank you so much. Now, let's get back to the podcast. So the rumours of a Switch Pro are back. Yes, Bloomberg reported that 11, I think it's 11, let me just double check. Yeah, at least 11 game companies are in the possession of a Nintendo 4K development kit for the Switch. And they even went so far as to name, is it Zigna Inc., who are working on a free-to-play Star Wars Hunters game that's coming out on the Switch as well. Now, they did a whole article reporting on this, and then Nintendo actually came out and released a statement saying A news report on September 30th, 2021 falsely claims that Nintendo is supplying tools to drive game development for a Nintendo Switch with 4K support. To ensure correct understanding among our investors and customers, we want to clarify that this report is not true. We also want to restate that, as we announced in July, we have no plans for any new model other than Nintendo Switch OLED model, which will launch on October 2021. So it is a bit weird that they came out and actually gave a company's name in this report, because obviously they'll have contracts in place that's saying if this was true, they're not going to be allowed to talk about it. Nintendo is obviously going to say, yeah, it's not true. Personally, I have no idea. I imagine they're working on the new. Obviously, R&D is a constant thing that's continually happening. So they are working on the progression to the Switch. Personally, I don't want a Switch Pro. I just want a new Switch that's backwardly compatible with the old Switch. And if that's 4K, that's great. But one of the other things that is interesting is that shortly afterwards, patents were revealed that Nintendo is actually working on upscaling technology. So that, very similar to NVIDIA's DLSS, which means, I'm reading this from something, deep learning super sampling. So that will take lower resolutions and actually upgrade them to 4K. So that is interesting. So with Nintendo coming out and saying we don't have any plans on releasing a new model, if that is true, what I think could be happening, conspiracy theories time again, is the new Switch dock with the Ethernet port. We've had these leak out into the wild early, and people have done breakdowns on them, and there's actually a chip in there that is capable of 4K, but apparently Nintendo have repurposed it to work with the for the LAN adapter, I believe. I could be mistaken. Please let me know if I am. Now, I also know that the dock that's coming with the OLED can be updated. It can have its firmware updated. So one of the things I am suspecting might happen is that the new dock at some point might get an update for the Nintendo upscaling protocols, in which case Bloomberg is kind of right. Nintendo is not lying, because they haven't released a new model that is capable of 4K. It's the dock that's going to be capable of 4K. So that is kind of where, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking it's all going. But at the end of the day, we don't know. Bloomberg has obviously got their sources from somewhere. Nintendo is bound to deny any rumours of a new Switch coming out, especially with the OLED coming out at date of recording in 3 days time. They're definitely not going to want distraction taken away from the OLED model. They want to sell that, and they don't want people going, well, there's a 4K Switch coming out, so I might as well just wait, which people would do. So they're going to deny it, even if they were going to announce it tomorrow. At some point, yeah, we will see a new Switch. Personally, I very much doubt we're going to see a mid-gen revision of the Switch, other than things like the OLED or the Switch Lite, just minor differences. I don't think we're going to see a Switch Pro, especially how far we are into the generation. I think that is going to be the Switch 2 or whatever it ends up being called. And I really hope it is all backwards compatible, because it'll be annoying if it isn't, because the Switch is such a good console. Do you think Nintendo is going to be releasing a Switch 4K next year? Or do you think it is all just rumours? So that's the news out of the way, which brings us on to your questions. And again, we don't have any. If you do have any questions for me and potentially Miss Bree when she comes back, if she's not on the podcast and you have a question for Miss Bree, I will message her and try and get a reply, which I will read. But you can either leave a comment on the YouTube video if that is where you're watching, or you can just leave a question on Twitter with the hashtag Ninqueso live, and we'll answer them next week. Please, somebody give me a question so I can extend this segment for more than 45 seconds. I'd be very, very, very appreciative. Please. So thank you so much for joining me. If you are listening to this on your podcast selection place of choice, then please leave us a little review. It really helps with the placement on those podcast platforms. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you feel the need to please leave a like and a comment. Let me know what you think of some of the things that I've mentioned in the comments below. Because let's face it, I'm probably wrong. And if you ever feel like you want to have a little chat with me, I do stream on Twitch every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday starting at 6 p.m. UK time. So it'd be nice if you pop over, say hello. If you want to ask me any questions, I'm fairly talkative with the chat at the moment because it is still quite small. So it'd be nice to see you there. Just search for Ninqueso and you should find me. Or you can follow me on Twitter. Just search for Ninqueso. But that is it for this week. Hopefully I will have company next week, but if not, I will just talk my random nonsense again. But until then, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you all later.